Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Unbettable. Holmes, your boy, here with Gary, but
What
no
up?
Mondo today. No Mondo again. He is sick once again. Will he come back full time? We may never know. Just kidding. He'll probably be back on Wednesday, but out sick for today. So me and Gare, we're gonna head the show today. We're gonna talk obviously about the national championship tonight, Washington and Michigan. And then we're gonna dive into a little bit of our NFL recap, talk about this past weekend and the upcoming playoffs because Gare, we might have to cover a little look ahead lines, but the lines are out for wild card weekend. So we will jump into those toward the later half of this pod, the latter half, I should say. But Gare, we got to jump right into the national championship, right? I mean, before we do that, how are you doing, brother? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. We're back in Gainesville, interning full time. A lot of big things coming. Stay tuned. We're getting a lot of growth. So I appreciate everybody who watches and follows everything. It's great for us, makes us really inclined to keep doing this. But yeah, back in the Ville, back in, the Thunderdome, ready to pick up some new shit. So how
Fuck
about
yeah.
you, Holmes?
Yeah, dude, doing great. It was a good NFL Sunday. Our Bucks clinched the playoffs, clinched the divisions, by the skin of our teeth. We'll get into that a little later down the road, but just happy that we got our team into the playoffs. That sets the vibe right for this week. So, honestly, let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about the national championship. Number one, Michigan, and number two, Washington. About to be a barn burner tonight, Gare.
Yeah,
You have the future on Michigan
I do.
to win the national championship. And I
Yeah,
want you to let me know how you feel about that tonight. Hype me up and tell me why I need to be jumping on Michigan with you tonight.
all right. And I'm going to tell you exactly why Michigan will cover tonight. All right. So the Wolverines have had it out for them all season. With the whole controversy with the sign stealing, everybody getting upset. We got head coach sitting behind enemy lines. We got the interim coming in and just showing them how it's done. I think they are the team to beat, and I think they have been all season. Statistically, we'll get into that a little bit. They're outscoring their opponents by about 26 points per game right now, which
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty fucking amazing if you ask me.
Yep.
And their defense is cold as fuck. They are only allowing about 10 points per game right now, which is the fewest in all of college football. Um, Washington lets up about 24 points per game. They're definitely an offensive heavy team, which is why I think they're going to meet their maker tonight whenever they go up against the Wolverine defense, number one rated defense versus number one rated offense. I think it's
Mhm.
going to be amazing to watch. Also, Washington, though, there is a pretty upsetting statistic. They let up about 200.
Now hold
Whoa.
the fucking phone.
What's going on right
Hold the
now?
fucking. Oh shit! Wait, hold up. This is the wrong background. Time out. Maybe I should have left that background on because Michael is gonna shove his Penix right up Michigan's asshole tonight. I cannot stress this enough. I am sick as hell. It's why I'm not on this episode today. But I'm gonna give every little bit of energy left to say fuck you, Gary. Fuck Jim Harbaugh. Fuck all the doubters because Washington's gonna come home and take the CFP trophy tonight. God bless. It's a guarantee and your boy is making some fucking money tonight. Shut this shit down right now. I'm not letting it happen. Fuck you, Gary.
Oh my
It was
Get
so
out of here with that shit.
So nice to see you today, Mondo. I'm glad we could have you on the pod. Thank you for interrupting my statistical breakdown of why Michigan is going to whoop that ass tonight. But I'll continue on since you're back. Um, the Washington offense relies heavy on pass plays. Is that right? Yes or no?
Yes.
But Michigan only allows the second most passing yards in the nation. I don't think Michael Penix stands a chance. I really don't. I think he's a great quarterback. Do I think it's going to be like last year with TCU where they got absolutely shit-faced and just destroyed? No, I don't. I think it's going to be a very close and contested game. May the best player win. I think Michael Penix should have had his name next to the Heisman Trophy winner for this year. But I think now is the time when we find out who is really about the business. And I think Michigan has too much to prove. They've been fighting all year, and they will take home the Natty tonight.
I mean, yeah, some might say that if, you know, they have mental issues. But others of us who know anything about college football knows you got to be able to put up points when it comes down to it. And you cannot run the ball every single play and expect to win like Michigan is always going to do. And against the Washington defense that actually has a solid front four, guess what? It's not going to happen tonight. And you take your time and you keep wasting it. Guess what? It takes Washington half the amount of time to get down the field and score. It's an easy Washington lock tonight. You can't even bet the over on this game because Michigan has their heads up their asses the whole time. Oh, wait, that's just their running back shoving his head right up the center's ass every single play. So this is the dumbest fucking argument ever. Washington's going to take it. I'm going to be funneling this man's balls with the amount of cash I'm about to make tonight off this bet.
Wow.
I have never seen you argue with statistics. Please don't start now because you're going to look like a dumbass. I guarantee that.
It's going to improve the way
Okay, I got to go because I can't talk anymore. I'm going to throw up. So I will say, Gary, I am very proud of you. You've been killing it on the social grind. I want you to keep it up. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Holmes, great talking to you. For everyone out there, I will be back on the next episode. I just need to get better. Just keep getting sick. Can't get away from it. But go Washington. Let's have a great CFP playoff finale tonight. And I will see you boys later.
Peace, Mondo. Man, what a surprise. What a surprise. That was ridiculous.
Who would have ever seen that coming? That totally wasn't on the script.
Man came in guns ablazing. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but like I was saying, that is the first time I've ever brought out statistics to back up a reasoning. Something I'm trying to do more often so that way I sound more valid. But then you have Mondo who uses the Gary strategy and comes in and just screams and says, fuck everybody. And then I realize why I used to do it because it's funny as hell. But we'll see what happens. In all honesty, I think it's going to be a great game. I definitely think it's going to be way better than last year's game. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was awesome. That was awesome. Hear both sides of it because you guys literally flip-flopped. You took the stats approach. Mondo took the Gary approach. Honestly, sometimes for your picks, you got to do either or. It's totally okay to do both. But starting out and bringing the stats, you love to see that, Gary. You got to back up your point. You got to give yourself some validity. Give yourself something to stand on. And I love that. I love that. Honestly, this game is so hard for me tonight, and I know that both of you guys have the conflicting futures. I mean, listen, I had Oregon back to win this thing. That fell apart when Washington kicked their ass for the Pac-12 championship. So, I mean, this is really, really a hard one for me. I have been flip-flopping all day. I woke up feeling like wanted to bet on Penix, wanted to bet on Washington. I think that offense is just, and we talked about it, I think, a couple pods ago. Like, I have trouble seeing how those three wide receivers for Washington are going to just be covered. And I get it. I know how well Michigan's secondary plays. I know how good their defense is. I know how well they play specifically against the pass. And that is why I'm so conflicted because that defense has every capability tonight in this matchup to be able to shut him down. We just haven't seen it yet. And I think Washington, they've now won 10 straight games, the margin of 10 points. I mean, that's a ridiculous streak. They're on a hot streak like no other right now. You're winning all of these close games and coming out on the other side of the coin. Like, it's really hard to bet against a team like that. So I don't know about a side yet. I have no idea about a side yet. It'll literally be last minute for me. I don't know if I'll put anything out on the Twitter about it. But I do lean toward the over tonight. I do think there will be points scored in this game, even though with the dominance of Michigan's D, I just think Washington, they're going to be able to put up some points. And in a game like this where J.J. McCarthy for Michigan knows that this is the last ride, this is the last opportunity he has to get a national championship, to close his story at Michigan. Kid's got a ball tonight. I get how much they rely on Blake Corum in that rushing game, but that kid's gonna have to sling the pill tonight and have a great game. And I think he knows that. I think he's ready for that too, especially against a Washington defense that they can be susceptible to the pass at times. So it's gonna be a great one to watch. I'm excited for it, Gare. I wish you nothing but the best. You cash this shit, that'd be so hype. That'd be so hype.
I have 4 plays for tonight. I had to
Hell
get
yeah.
Hard Rock for tonight just because the lack of player props. I had to take it back to the books.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do. So first of all, we have Michigan money line. We had that as a future already. I want to
True.
say that was what, +3 something. Not big money. But it is profit, to say the least. And then we're gonna go into some anytime touchdowns. So I got Blake Corum to score. I also got Rome Adunzi. I don't know if I said his name right. Also,
Dunze, yeah, I think you're close.
also to score anytime. And then this is where I'm kind of rooting for the enemy in a sense, but I do think it is a very good chance that it will happen. Michael Penix with 2+ passing touchdowns thrown. We talked about it since the beginning of this podcast. Michael Penix is him. He knows how to throw the ball. And I think he will connect on at least two tutties tonight. So yeah,
That's
those are my
fair.
4 plays for tonight. Me and my buddy are working on them together. He put them in a lay. I took them individually. Um, Good luck to him. Honestly,
Mhm.
I don't really know about the lay idea, but I am gonna be just separating them. Take it
Yeah,
from where I can.
absolutely a smart play to just take these straight. I mean, especially the anytime touchdown for a Dunze, you're gonna get plus money on that. Probably not get. It's pretty juicy probably for Blake Corum to score a touchdown. But I mean, Michael Penix 2+ pass TDs, you probably get decent value on that. It's not worth putting those plays together. They're not all too juicy where you need to find like that value in a 2 or 3-way parlay. So smart to play all of those straight. Strictly from a gambling perspective, I wanted to ask you about this because you have the future on Michigan. Have you considered at any point just strictly putting money down on Washington money line to hedge yourself for the future? So that way, because I get it, you double down on Michigan, and like you could play this either way, and I completely understand like the confidence in Michigan. Like if you want to ride this out, fucking ride it. Like they gave you a cash out opportunity, you said fuck it, like, I'm gonna keep riding. I respect that. It's a good mentality to have. But have you ever thought about at any point trying to hedge and like almost guaranteeing yourself money in a sense if you bet like the right amount on Washington to try and like make back what you had on the future?
I think that's actually a good question. I feel like that's something that we don't really cover on the pod at
Mm-hmm.
all. It's almost like strategies we have rather than relying on statistics for, placing our bets. But for y'all that don't know, a hedge is essentially where you're betting against the bet you have in hopes that they will equal out your loss. So you don't necessarily make a whole lot of profit, but you also don't lose a lot of money. So in this case, since I did place the future on Michigan, I would be hedging that bet by voting or not voting by betting on Washington. So right now, Washington money line is at +175. I believe I only took a $5 future on Michigan. I didn't put a whole bunch on it just because it was a future. So essentially, yes, I have thought about it, putting 5 on Washington because either way we go, like I'm gonna win money kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, I've never been a big fan of hedging, just because I feel like I don't know, like if I go with my gut on something initially, I should just take it and take the loss if I do lose. Because then you're kind of conflicted while you're watching the game because you're sitting here thinking about, oh, I want to hit this future. But then you're also like, oh, like if, sorry, my dad just called me.
You're good.
If Washington, wins, I'm winning like kind of the same amount of money. It gets conflicting in your head. But yeah, from a strategic standpoint, I think that if you are afraid of the loss, I don't think there's any shame in hedging.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like how you worked through that and kind of talked about your perspective from it because yeah, I mean, different people feel the same way. Like you want to ride it out. You don't really want to go the hedge route. That's totally fine. I mean, there's a bunch of people that take that same mentality. And I think that's a good mentality to have. I think there's also people out there that'll, and this is stuff we can talk about in the future too, just like you said, that strategic side of like, here's what you want to do in this scenario in order to try and guarantee yourself money to be able to like literally saying hedge our losses. Like that's what we mean by a hedge. Like make sure that you're at least gaining yourself some profit and minimizing your losses as much as possible just by putting these different bets together at different times. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So interesting thing to talk about there. But that's our CFP talk. Gary, you have anything more to add for that tonight, or you want to jump right into the NFL and get on that?
No, bro, go blue. I want to see them take it all. I think they got the talent. I think if, their QB sits down there and does a little meditation session on that field, I think they're going to be locked in. So I'm ready to watch.
Hell yeah. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting. And I saw that kickoff was at 7:30 tonight on ESPN. I don't trust that, bro. I don't think kickoff is gonna be until like at least 8:15.
Yeah.
All the bullshit pageantry and advertisements and stuff that they'll have beforehand. So that's all bullshit.
Yeah. All righty. Well, good luck to everybody tonight. Hope it's a great game. Good luck on your bets, whatever you do take, if you choose to follow us or make your own. We will have those posted tonight on the Twitter, and you will see them on the YouTube video when it goes up. But let's get into NFL. Honestly, I think a pretty exciting weekend with a lot of crazy turnouts. As expected, almost, because players were playing or not playing. So yeah, let's get into it. I guess we could start off with Saturday with the Steelers and the Ravens. What do you think about that game, Holmes?
Yeah, dude, we'll run through them. Yeah, Saturday with the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, this was one that I was kind of just looking at props for, but not a whole lot was available for the Ravens, so I kind of had to go the Steelers route of things. I want to make sure I have all my bets pulled up for this weekend so I can recap what I had. I had quite a bit in this game, actually. I had Jalen Warren over 3.5 receptions and an Najee Harris touchdown. Both of those were able to cash in this game. I had Mason Rudolph to throw an interception. That did not come through. He's looked great. I mean, 3-0 being the Steelers starter from the point that he took over for Mitch Trubisky and then continued to play even when Kenny Pickett was healthy. I mean, he's willed these Steelers into the playoffs. Good for them. Really exciting that they were able to get there. I guess kind of an unexpected turnout with how many players the Ravens sat, just trying to rest up for that first week of the playoffs after they get there by just giving themselves extra time to prepare. But I think the one big thing that I wanted to note in this game was the absence of George Pickens. That dude wasn't even targeted once in this game, and the Steelers were still able to win by 7. Like, I mean, I had George Pickens over 20.5 longest reception. Dude didn't even get targeted. Like, that was just one of the worst bets I made of the weekend. That was horrible.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of the weird things I noticed about this weekend is we were, last week talking a lot about incentives and whatnot. And it seemed almost that the people that we thought were going to get picked for plays were just not even present. Like you couldn't feel their presence, you know what I'm saying? Which was kind of weird. But I don't really have too much to say about this game. Good for the Steelers. Good for their coach for finishing again over 500. I think it was like the 14th season in a row he's done it. So good for them. I guess a good day to be a Steelers fan.
Yeah, definitely. Mike Tomlin has done a fantastic job with that organization. Yeah, 14 straight non-losing seasons. That's incredible. That's an incredible stretch. On to the late Saturday game. The Texans get a 23-19 win over the Colts and punch their ticket to the playoffs. I was on Texas money line from the jump. I loved them in this spot. They have just been playing so well all year. D'Amico Ryans should be coach of the year. Nobody thought this team was going to be in this position at the beginning of the year. Stroud has played so well. That defense has really come together with a lot of young guys. And Gare, I wanted to touch on this because I know we talked about it on the pod. I took Dalton Schultz over 4.5 receptions because I said I had the Gary gut feeling that man was going to land at 5. And what did he do? 5 receptions on the day. So he clutched up on that play. Really, really excited about that. He didn't get 6 for the extra bonus that he had, but he did get 4 for his like couple $100,000 bonus. So big game for the Texans, getting to the playoffs. What you got about this game, Gare?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have much about the game itself, but I have something about CJ Stroud. Good for you, bro. Honestly, I mean, for a rookie season, you have truly taken the Texans franchise to a whole new level.
Yeah.
They've been, I feel like, in the dark for a long time. I mean, unless you look at their defense, of course, with JJ, like, yeah, he was there. He's the GOAT at, being a defensive player, but Stroud has taken their offense to a whole new level. So good for them. Good for him going to the playoffs in his rookie season as their starting quarterback. That's a big feat. One thing I will say is I wish we could have seen the Colts this year with Anthony Richardson. I really
Yeah.
do. I feel like their outcome would have been tremendously different. Just because when he started playing with the Colts the first couple games, he was really, really doing something. Um, but we'll see him next year. AR get better soon. Stroud, good ups for you, bro. Good luck in the
Mhm.
playoff.
Yeah.
The next
I mean,
game, what'd you say?
I was just gonna say real quick, piggybacking on what you said about Anthony Richardson and the Colts. I think it's really encouraging that they played as well as they did with Gardner Minshew, and then they're gonna have Anthony Richardson come back healthy next year. I mean, I think that's a lot to be excited for the
Yeah,
Colts. So
almost maybe a QB battle potentially. We'll see.
potentially,
So the next game, the game that you and I both watched and complained
yes,
about
sir.
together, the Bucks and the Panthers. Um, this game was a letdown for me. Yes, we punched our ticket. We're going to the playoffs. I don't even want to think about our first game, which I think is against the Eagles. We'll have to see how that goes. But we only put up 9 points against the Panthers. Not a single tutty, all field goals. Um, we can't convert. That's what I noticed. At all. Like, you know, fucking I'm blanking right now. Mike Evans, that wide open toss he had, I think it was like a 50-yard throw, just
Yeah.
fumbles the ball out of his hands. I mean,
Mhm.
like like I guess thank God for Rashad. Like I mean, I don't know who else would have ran the ball. Godwin couldn't make a play. Um just kind of disappointing. We're lucky that the Panthers are as bad as they are because if this was any other team and we played like this, for example, like last week when we played exactly like this, I don't know where we would be right now.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted you to start out talking about that game because I share the same disappointment as you in the game aspect of things. I'll cover two things. I'll cover the betting side of it first. Rashad White over 70 and a half rushing yards. That came in pretty nicely. He had a great day on the ground. Like you said, he willed that offense as much as they couldn't do anything moving the ball down the field. He was probably the one bright spot, continuing to push and grind on the ground for the yards, being active in the passing game. I mean, he has been such a great revelation for the Bucks backfield. So very excited for him. He didn't score a touchdown. I did have that parlayed with a Kenneth Walker touchdown. So, that was just a bad bet that I had there. But another thing did want to touch on the betting side of things. We both had the Bucks to win the division as a future at plus 500 a few weeks ago, and we talked about that. So that did come through. It was a little bit of a sweat, but we did get that. Very exciting, me and you, Gare. But yeah, the second thing was the game side of things. As just a pure Bucks fan, it's very disappointing to watch just the offense be as inept as they were. You just got to give all the credit to the defense, man, because they solely kept us in that game. The turnovers, it's a travesty that Antoine Winfield Jr. is not selected to the Pro Bowl because he has had a career year. And if you thought I was proud of Rashad White, I'm proud of that young man because holy shit, when that guy came into the Bucks organization a few years ago as a young draft pick, I don't think anybody thought he was going to be as good of a safety as he is right now. He is fantastic. I love the way he plays the game, plays hard every snap. I mean, he's one of those only guys on defense that is keeping us in it every single damn play because he does something special. He's punching out the ball, he's forcing fumbles, he's making great tackles. Like that guy's everywhere on the field. And from an offensive standpoint, man, they have to get so much better. I don't know if you saw the video that they had in the locker room. They were celebrating their division win. And right after Todd Bowles got done with his speech, Tristan Wirfs said, "Yo, can I say something?" the offense needs to step the F up. Like we need to be better. We have not scored a touchdown in like 7 or 8 offensive quarters or something like that. Like 7 or 8 quarters. We haven't scored a touchdown. Like we have to be better. Defense, you've been grinding your ass off. You've been keeping us in. Offense, we have to be better. Like he stood up and said that in front of everybody right before the playoffs. And I was like, that's what they need in that locker room. Somebody to step up and be like, yo, we won, but don't get too hyped up because we look like shit out there. Like
Yeah.
we got a lot of work to do before the Eagles come into town Monday night. As bad as they've looked, they got to be pissed off. I
Yeah.
mean, this is going to be a crazy game, and we'll touch on it a little later. But man, that's going to be a wild one, bro.
Yeah, bro. Top Bowls, you're fucking pissing me off more and more each week. I don't get it. Like I feel like we're simply keeping him because he's keeping the ship afloat, no pun intended. Like
Yeah,
he's literally just there doing his job in a mediocre way. And I feel like we just need somebody to really, I don't know, like pump it up. Bill Belichick, I don't know, maybe that'd be pretty badass. Not gonna lie.
crazy.
But I guess I did win a bet or 2 bets on that game. We did have the future for the division winner. And I also did take them at -200 for the money line. Pretty juiced, but a win is a win. We take them where we can.
Definitely.
Next game, I guess, is the Browns Bengals. I don't really have too much to say about this game other than the Browns kind of sold. I took the Browns at +15. It was a live bet. Um, they ended up losing by 17. Um, not a true representation of who the Browns are. No Joe Flacco. Joe Mixon did cash out on his incentive. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool to watch. But other than that, I don't really have much to say. How about you, Holmes?
Yeah, not much from my perspective either. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch a whole lot of this game. Browns were up big to begin with, and they kind of just ran away with it. I mean, to be expected, Flacco's not going to start this game. Browns clinched their spot in the playoffs 2 weeks ago, I think. So this was not a game where the Browns were expected to show up and do anything special. Had a lot of backups in, resting all their starters. But good for Jake Browning going out there, put on a performance for the Bengals, get them a win to 9-8. They did not make the playoffs, unfortunately. But just due to a tough injury-riddled season for Joe Burrow, wasn't able to stay healthy for them on the field, but he'll be coming back next year looking for revenge, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll jump to the next game. We'll go Lions Vikings. Lions got a 30-20 win at home over the Vikings. This was kind of a game where like one team kind of didn't really have anything to play for, but the Lions kind of still did for like positioning a little bit. I mean, just a good showing here by the Lions. It's just this is actually my Super Bowl pick. This was my dark horse pick, the Lions to win the Super Bowl. The only thing that concerns me is just how inconsistent they've been at times. They show up and they look really good in a game like this, but I mean, they could totally come out flat in the first week of the playoffs with Matt Stafford coming to town, and they could lay an egg. It could just be the weirdest thing. Really tough to see Sam Laporta go down with injury. That is a massive, massive part of their offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work around that if he's not able to play in the playoffs. But Gary, you got anything you want to touch on from this game?
I mean, crazy stats coming out of Minnesota for this game. Even though they did lose, Mullins got 396 yards on the day.
Nice.
That's pretty crazy. Jetta, rushing wise had -12, but passing wise, 192 yards. That is pretty big, for a day's work. Like we touched on last year, or not last year, last week, we were talking about Madison. Another disappointing day, 7 carries for 24 yards. Not really, doing it. Um, but yeah, Amon-Ra, he is going to be the key to Detroit winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion. That young guy has so much talent. I think it was like a 70-yard tutty. Um, Too fast, too good. I love seeing him get fed the ball. So yeah, I guess on to the next game. Jets, New England. What do we have to say about this one?
Jesus, not much, dude. Not much. I mean, this was a fucking field goal battle until the fourth quarter, and then Brees Hall with like 2 minutes left to go rips off a 50-yard run. It gets the only touchdown of the day for the Jets. So this was the poop bowl. The only thing I have to say, very unfortunate for Bill Belichick. If this was his last game as a Patriot, man, he did not go out in a whole lot of style. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, dude. I really do. Like I don't know. I feel like he went from coaching the best team in the world to potentially the worst team in the world. Like he has seen it all and done it all. So props to him. I feel like this season should not be thought about when we think about the era of Bill Belichick, honestly. Like it will be talked about for sure. But this team right now is in such shambles. Just thinking about who their QB is, you never know. I mean, right now it's basically Zap. And then, I mean, the same thing can be said about the Jets. They had somebody named Trevor Simeon playing this week. So it's just, I don't know. And then, like, the thing with, like, the Jets and the Pats fans on Twitter trying to shit on the Dolphins, like, you guys just need to stop and have your phones taken away from you because there's absolutely no room to talk. But that's all I have to say about that one.
Yeah, definitely a shit game for sure there. And I'm gonna be honest again, I didn't watch a lick of that game either. But this was kind of an interesting one. Divisional matchup. The Saints at home pummel the Falcons 48-17. And realistically, should have been 41-17. But Jamal Williams punches in a touchdown from like the 1 yard line. With, I think, a minute left to go. They talk about it after the game. James Winston in the locker room is like, dude, yeah, that was like a team decision. We were all just overrid the coach. We were like, no, we're gonna punch this in. Like, we're gonna score right here. That was crazy. I think that is hilarious. Like, of all the people out there that are getting really mad and are like, oh, this is like poor sportsmanship or whatever. Listen, division rivalries in the NFL are as heated as they get. Those are the rivalries. When you face those motherfuckers twice a year, you want to run up the score. You want to embarrass them. You know how many times the Saints have embarrassed the Bucks over the years? We've been a bad team. They've been a good team. I mean, they have absolutely washed us. They have the chance to make you look bad. They're going to do it. That's just how division rivalries work. Like, don't be pissed off about it. If you're that pissed off about it, stop it. Play better. Like, score more points. Do something so that they're not kicking your ass 48-17. And the one other thing I will say about this game is we talked about it on the pod, Gary. Calais Campbell over 0.5 sacks for plus money. That dude got a sack, I think, in like the first quarter. That was so money. I mean, he needed like 3, I think, for his incentive, but you were going to give me that prop for plus money. I know we thought it was a trap, but I ended up taking it anyway, and it was worth it. Very worth it.
Yeah. RIP Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
1-2 punch in his nuts, one on each nut for this game. That last minute tutty, as well as him getting fired. I mean, that sucks, dude. A lot of people are celebrating on Twitter, but I feel like one thing that we as fans forget to realize is the fact that these are real people and this is their careers. So that does suck, but it is probably good for Atlanta. New Orleans, man, there is something brewing out there in the body right now. These last 2 games they've had, they have been on fire offensively. And it's kind of scared me a little bit. New Orleans definitely knew what they were playing for. They were hoping that we were going to choke, which we almost did. And they wanted to make sure that if we did choke, they were right there to make a statement, and they definitely did. I just think it's funny how out of everybody to talk about wanting to beat the brakes off somebody, it's Jameis Winston. He's such a. I've been trying to work on my swearing on the pod, but he is just such a clown, bro. Like ever since he's been, in college, yes, he was a great quarterback. You could say that, but he is such a clown individual. Like the fact that he didn't even step on the field and it's just like, oh yeah, we just wanted to, he's like the little kid in the background, like on Derek Carr's shoulders, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just clown energy, bro. Like, do better. I mean, I get it's a division rivalry, but bro, like, we all know what you were doing. Like, don't even try to play us like some fools.
Yeah.
Um, that's all I gotta say about that one, Holmes. You got anything else?
No, dude, I thought that Jameis Winston rant was hilarious. That was great.
I mean, that's
Um,
that's just us being Gators, I guess. But next we got the Jags and the Titans. The Jags, there's something else cooking in Duval, and it smells like shit because I don't know what they've been doing these last 3, 4, 5 weeks, but obviously it's not working. They're out, and that's not what anybody thought was going to happen.
mhm.
T-Law obviously was very upset at the end of the game, saw him screaming at some refs. But on the other side of the ball, Derrick Henry had a hell of a game, potentially his last game as a Titan. I want to say he rushed for almost 200 yards, scored a tutty, was looking amazing. Definitely a great way to end his season. Um, but yeah, man, Titans have been looking good the past couple games. I mean, they finished, what does it say, 6-11. Not too great, but the Jags, their finish, I think, was worse, even though their record is better. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. They had a horrible stretch to end the season. I just want to go over this horrid stretch. So they beat the Texans 24-21 back on November 26th. And then since then, loss, 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 win against the Panthers, loss, choked their way out of the playoffs, literally. I mean, they had to win this game on the road against the Titans, who had literally nothing to play for and lost by 8. So there's not much to say other than the Jags choked away their playoff hopes, man. This season started out with so much hype for them. I'll admit I was on that hype train. There was a lot to be excited for in Jacksonville this year, and they just fell a little bit short. Injuries kind of took the wind out of their sails a little bit down the stretch with Christian Kirk going down, and T-Law hasn't been 100%. I get all that, but man, you have as many playmakers on that team as you do. It is tough. It is a sour taste in your mouth when you don't make the playoffs like that. I will say I did have Travis Etienne, sorry. Travis Etienne over 50 plus rushing yards. He got that. But I put that with Hopkins, 50 plus receiving yards, and he fell just short, 46. He was 4 yards away from his incentive, 4 yards away. Damn it, I wish Tannehill would have helped him out there. But we did talk about really needing, I think, almost 100 yards to get to 1,000 on the season, and he got 106 on the day. So good for him. Great bounce back season for Calvin Ridley. I had him 50 plus receiving yards as well with Terry McLaurin 50 plus receiving, which did come in. Talked about that on the pod. So good for Calvin Ridley, bouncing back, having a good season after his suspension last year.
yeah.
Uh, let's roll into the 4 o'clock games. Damn, yeah, there's a lot of 4 o'clock games this past weekend. Seahawks just barely get a win over the Cardinals 21-20. I had the Seahawks money line in this game because we talked about it. Gino, if he got a win and they got into the playoffs, he was going to get a massive bonus, I think like 2 million. But they win. They did not get into the playoffs. Tough for the Seahawks, but great comeback win for them in the fourth quarter when it looked like the Cardinals might have gotten the edge over them. You got anything in this game, Gary?
Yeah, Cardinals kicker, do better, bro.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. But I guess everybody has their days. Not really much else to say. Battle of the Birds. Bluebird was victorious. I remember saying that.
You did. You did.
Next game, we got the Bears and the Packers. Honestly, the only thing I have to say about this game came from the post-game interview with Justin Fields. I feel bad, dude. He looked like visibly upset. And then he kind of left his interview off by saying, "Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, the fans. Thank you, the faculty. In case this is my last rodeo, I love y'all," and then dipped.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty concerning. Like, where is he gonna go? What is he gonna do? I don't know. I definitely think there are some QB spots open, at the Patriots. But you know, we'll just have to see what happens. Unfortunate loss. But Lambeau, bro, it is owned by the Packers. So what about you?
Truly is. I think I heard Matt LaFleur, he is undefeated in his career against the Bears. Justin Fields is 0-5 against the Packers in his career. So the Packers, this has been a completely one-sided matchup for them. I had the Packers money line here because they win and they were in. punched their ticket. Jordan Love, he's going to get a little bit of a bonus himself for making the playoffs, so good for him. We did talk about that on the pod as well. I did have Justin Fields to get a touchdown here. That did not come in, obviously, as the Bears. I don't even think they scored a touchdown. They just had 3 field goals, right? Yeah, exactly. 17-9 win for the Packers. Hey, man, they punched their ticket to the playoffs. That's all you can say, really. As far as the Bears situation is concerned with Justin Fields, yeah, I would say it is pretty concerning that he said that at the post-game podium. I think there's a lot of speculation as to whether the Bears will pay him or whether they will draft a young QB that they don't have to pay as much. Does Justin Fields go to another team? Does he stay with the Bears? It's going to be one of the biggest questions heading into the next season. I think that Bears future could look a lot different come around next season. Next game, this was boring as hell. I literally have 0 things to say about this game, Gary. Chiefs got a 13-12 win over the Chargers. This was a backup game on backup games. Only thing I wanted to highlight, I would have taken it if they had this prop. Chris Jones got his last sack that he needed for his incentive this season. That was pretty much the only bright spot of this game. I have nothing else.
Yeah, Kansas City pulls it off with a late game field goal. Kansas City really has not been the team to watch this year. I mean, even though this was a backup game for them, they're just boring. One thing I will say, it was great to be a Florida Gator and see LaMichael Pirine get to stretch his legs on the field. He got 21 carries. He only got about 70, 75 yards. But still good to see he's alive and well and can play football still. But yeah, that's really about it. Next game we'll talk about. We got the Raiders Broncos. I don't really got much to say about this one, Holmes. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, 27-14 win for the Raiders at home. I think this was a big play for Antonio Pierce game. Raiders really, really like this guy. They've rallied behind him ever since he became the head coach midway through the season after the firing of Josh McDaniels. And I think they want this guy back. And they showed out for it. They put it on a Broncos team who has looked like shit down the stretch, had a great middle portion of the season, but absolutely blew it in the beginning and the end of the season. But just good for the Raiders, man. I know that's kind of just like a team that's hasn't really had a whole lot of success this season with the weird quarterback situation. And I know Devontae hasn't been the happiest guy there because of all the losing they've been doing, but it's good for them to get a win. I think that solidifies a good case for Antonio Pierce to come back and be the head coach for them next year. One of the most surprising outcomes of Sunday, the Giants get a 27-10 win over the Eagles at home. And this is a game that the Eagles were not just resting people in, they were actually playing. They were playing for positioning. They were playing to possibly win the division if they could get a win and the Cowboys lost. I mean, this would be really big for them. And the Giants jumped all over them so quick. I mean, this game felt like it was over before it even began. What was it? I think I have to go back and look. It was like 24-0 in the second quarter. That was insane. The Giants defense was all over Jalen Hurts. I think they pulled him from Marcus Mariota before halftime. I mean, what a wild ass outcome in this game. Not anything that I expected. I would have probably like bet my house on the Eagles to win this game, and I would be homeless afterward.
Yeah. Pretty disappointing when it comes to my betting. I had Philly, I think like -5 or something like that, which I thought would be the easiest bet to cash all day, and then you saw what happened. But Jalen Hurts might actually be hurt. Came off the field with what looked like a hurt finger. And that's a tough look going into the playoffs. It's good for us because hopefully, with a hurt ass finger, we won't be seeing the tush push get abused. But yeah, dude, Eagles, man, Eagles are kind of looking like shit right now, to say the least.
Massive schneid.
Yeah. Ooh, what is this, Hard Rock? You get a no regret same game parlay up to $10 for tonight's Michigan versus Washington finale.
Yeah, yes, sir. Come on now. You gotta throw that down. Honestly, bro, the good thing about Hard Rock, if anybody out there is listening that wants to use Hard Rock, hasn't gotten invested in it yet, they're giving out these same game no regret parlays almost every night. They've been doing it this whole week. NBA games, NFL games, now the national championship game tonight. I mean, they're giving this stuff away. It's a great promo to have for an app that really just got started. It's good to see that they're getting out there and trying to give as many opportunities for the bettors as possible to do different things and play around with all the different things that they have to offer in the app. So if you're interested, please take a look at the Hard Rock app. That's what we look at for all of our odds, all of our bets. That is the app to use in Florida.
Yes, Florida. That is a big thing. We are in Florida.
We are in
Next game, Rams, 49ers. Niners sitting most of their players, but the superstar of this game was Puka Nacua. Broke a shitload of rookie records. Great for him. I honestly think he is the reason that the Rams were able to flip their season around as early as they did. They started off rough, finished off 10-7. But honestly, fuck the Niners DBs for forcibly holding him, trying to not let him break those records. We all saw that. You're a piece of shit, and you're not talented if you just can't guard him. So fuck you for that. He still shit in your mouth and broke the records. So good on Puka, good on the Rams. It was a little 1 point win, but you take them where you can. What do you say, Holmes?
Yeah, I'm on the same side as you, man. All props to Puka Nacua. He definitely has played a major role in keeping that team alive. He's been such a vital role in the offense for a guy that was not drafted highly at all. I think he was third day drafted, maybe. I don't think it was the top 3 rounds, and I could be mistaken on that. He could be a third round guy. I don't have it right here in front of me, but it's just really awesome to see him stepping in for an injured Cooper Cup at the beginning of the season and just immediately taking off as a consistent contributor in the offense. And Cup comes back. I mean, that's a hard 1-2 punch to stop there in LA, especially when you got Stafford healthy, slinging you the pill, looking good this year. Good for the Rams to get this win. Stafford didn't play, but Carson Wentz, good on Carson Wentz, coming off the literal couch and playing his ass off to get a win over, yes, a 49ers team that sat a lot of people. But God damn it, Carson Wentz, coming in and showing out. Everybody counted that man out, and he came in and played a hell of a game for the Rams. He even rushed a touchdown in from like 10 yards out. So hype for Carson Wentz. Glad to see him come back and get a win.
Yeah.
Last game of the 4 o'clock slate before we talk about the nightcap. Cowboys get a very big win, 38-10 over the Commanders. Pretty expected here. Cowboys were fighting with the Eagles for the division, and the Commanders are a piece of poop team. I mean, I had McLaurin over 50 plus yards because he had an opportunity to reach 1,000. I'm actually not sure if he did on the season, but he's really been the only decent bright spot for that game. Sam Howell's been okay this season for them, but I mean, that's just a guy who's like, he has so much talent on that team. And I feel like he's so underutilized. Whatever. I'm going on a rant about the Commanders. They lost. Good win for the Cowboys. They clinched the division. They are going to be a heavy favorite going into the playoffs because they have looked great this season, offensively and defensively. There look to be very few holes in their game.
Yeah. I've never been a big Cowboys guy because I am a fan. But it is what it is. On to the last game. Thank you for sticking around if you're still here. But this game definitely deserves some coverage. Bills,
Yes.
Dolphins. Bills win it 21-14. Dawson Knox has a hell of a game. Josh Allen really turns on the Jets towards the second half. Josh Allen, I wish I could choke you though, because you cost me my fantasy league by 4 points. I literally almost came back from almost a 50-point deficit. Almost had it. But it is what it is. He doesn't play fantasy. I do, so whatever. But yeah, rough game for Miami. I did end up placing a later on parlay. I had A-Chain and Tyreek to score. So that hit, that was good. I think, yeah, they were the only two to score in the second half or in the second quarter. And I also had Hard Rock had a crazy deal. Let me get it up right here. Tyreek Hill, Devon A-Chain, Stephon Diggs, or James Cook records the first touchdown. I mean, those are your biggest scores from each team. That was essentially free, so that cashed. But yeah, I rough game for Miami. Not really what I was expecting at all. But, Buffalo, way to turn your season around. That's all I gotta say about it. What about you, Holmes?
Yeah, this was wild, man. I mean, this was literally for the AFC North crown, is it? That's their division. I always fucking forget what these different divisions are. Um, I need to make sure that I have this right because I don't want to sound like I'm an idiot. No, it's the AFC East. Yeah, just because I am stupid. AFC East. So Buffalo, they get a great win. I mean, they really did turn their season around because I think midseason there were a lot of people saying, man, they might not even make the playoffs. They have been looking so poop. They cannot perform against great teams. They can barely perform against subpar teams. And this is just a tough loss for the Dolphins. You know, it's good for them to be able to make the playoffs, but this was an opportunity where they could gain some home field advantage. And now they got to go to Arrowhead and the return of Tyreek Hill to Arrowhead in the playoffs. That is going to be a very, very intriguing matchup that we will now cover. Gare, we talked about NFL. We talked about the whole Sunday. God damn it, that was a long slate. That was crazy. But what we got to do now is just touch on real quick and look ahead to the wild card weekend. Now, I'm going to give you the favorites in each of these 6 games that we got going on for the weekend. And I want you to tell me which game you're feeling the most confident about. Just as a quick look ahead, obviously, we will cover these in so much more depth in future episodes this week. But here's what we got. We got Cleveland favored by 3 over the Texans in Houston. We got Kansas City favored by 3.5 at home against Miami. We got Buffalo favored by 9.5 at home against Pittsburgh. We got Dallas favored by 7.5 at home against Green Bay. We got the Detroit Lions favored by 3 over the Rams at home. Sorry, the Lions are at home. Rams coming in. And the Bucks at home are 3-point underdogs to the Eagles. Eagles are favored by 3 in that matchup. Garrett, does anything stand out to you from these 6 games already?
Cowboys Packers. This is a deep-rooted rivalry, if you ask me. But 7.5 versus the team that performs the best at home. I mean, you said Cowboys are playing at home, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like arguably one of the best defenses in the league right now versus the so-so Packers who will 1 week have you convinced that the second coming of Aaron Rodgers is right there in front of you. And the next week, you're like, am I watching a Pee Wee football team play? Like, you don't know, but the Cowboys at home always show up. They have proved everybody wrong. Everybody always bets against them at home just so they can make that extra bit of profit. So if I had to make a pick out of all those games that I feel most confident about, in my opinion, Gary gut feeling, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys minus 7.5 over the Packers.
Nice. Nice. All right. I like that. Yeah, these are some tough games. I mean, these are going to be really fun to watch. These are going to be awesome. As far as a read on anything, I will say I really do like the Texans +3 at home.
Okay.
And I know that the Flacco magic has been wild this season. He has willed the Browns. He has been a fantastic leader for them coming in. I don't know, man. I think there's a little bit of magic around that Houston team this year. Just something that D'Amico Ryans is doing with those guys. Like, I don't know. I've bet on them a lot this season. I've made more money than I've lost on this team. This is just a situation where I can see this game coming down to maybe a field goal at the end to win it. A super close game. I see it being a battle, especially Houston being at home. That place is going to be rocking. Man, one of the first home playoff games they have had probably since the Deshaun Watson era, which if you think about it, was a long time ago at this point. I mean, I love the home field advantage there. I love the opportunity for CJ Stroud to come out and have a really, really good game in his first ever playoff appearance. I don't think the lights are going to be too bright for him. I think he's going to be a lot more comfortable, especially being at home. So if I were to lean one way, Gare, I think I'm leaning toward the Texans +3, but we'll obviously see how these games are going to shake out later in the week. And I'm sure on Friday we will have all of our official picks. Probably, I'm sure, at least one for each game that we got this weekend.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. I mean, I think CJ Stroud is no longer a rookie NFL quarterback. He is an NFL quarterback, and he has showed so that he can compete with no matter what you throw in front of him. But then on the other hand, you have Joe Flacco, who's like, this is his second chance at a new life almost, where he's, trying to reinvent himself. Um, but yeah, I like the CJ Stroud pick here, with him taking the Texans to the chip. So we'll just have to see what happens.
You're damn right, brother. You're damn right. Well, I don't know about you. I don't have anything for the NBA tonight. My NBA picks on the last pod were garbage. I am on a little bit of a schneid here in the NBA right now. So I'm going to take a break tonight. Hopefully come back on Wednesday and have some more plays. Gary, do you have anything else that you would like to share tonight before we sign off?
Just recap my NFL picks for the week. I had Browns plus 15, did not cash. Lions money line cashed. Bucks money line cash. Chiefs plus 3 cash. Eagles -5 did not. So I was 3 for 2. Honestly, good comeback weekend for me. I've been on a dry streak, so I'm sorry if you've been following me. Do not look in the comments and see what Sam Coleman says about Fade Gary. Do not listen to him. He's an idiot. Fuck you, Sam Schulman. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Fuck Sam Schulman. Gary's coming back. I hope you watch this, Sam. But yeah, what about you, Holmes? Is that it?
That's hilarious, man. That's it. That's all we got. We will definitely be back for another episode on Wednesday. Mondo will be back with us. We'll be able to cover a ton more. We'll talk even more about the championship result that'll happen tonight and the new CFP champion. We'll touch a little bit more on the wild card games, probably get in some NBA, maybe even some Chell. But we'll save all that for Wednesday. Thank you all for sticking with us tonight. If you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe, help us grow this pod as much as possible. We love getting to do this for all you guys. We love getting to do this. It's so much fun each and every day. So
Yeah.
for myself, Holmes, Gary,